If you're tired of raising birds that eat like horses but produce like broken ATMs, it's time to change the rules. Forget about fairy tales and settling for mediocre production. Today we'll unravel the best-kept secret of the poultry industry to put it directly into your calloused hands. We're talking about real genetic engineering, the four-way cross, the master strategy that transforms backyard birds into heavy production machinery. You don't need a sterile laboratory to achieve that coveted hybrid vigor. You need military strategy applied to the field, raw knowledge, and the sheer will to execute crosses calculated down to the millimeter. We'll build an unbreakable lineage, crossing 4 genetic pillars to spark a yield explosion that will flood your nesting boxes with eggs. Get ready to understand genetic segregation like an elite breeder, designing the ultimate bird, armored against disease and structured for maximum profitability. Let's begin. The four-way cross is no amateur experiment. It's the exact architecture upon which modern poultry empires are built. Imagine you have 4 distinct genetic foundations, lines A, B, C, and D. The novice farmer's mistake is mixing everything in a single pen, creating an unstable genetic soup. The seasoned producer isolates these pure lines and crosses them with surgical precision on 2 simultaneous fronts. This is the real chess game out in the dirt. By crossing 4 unrelated bloodlines, we stack dominant traits and eliminate recessive weaknesses. The ultimate goal is to engineer a terminal bird with extraordinary climate resistance, unrelenting feed efficiency, and a staggering laying rate. It represents the absolute maximum expression of hybrid vigor in the field. To build this feathered fortress, the first move takes place on the maternal flank. We take breed A and breed B, selected with a single mission, to create the perfect mother, the ultimate biological incubator. Line A is usually a high-output layer, like a pure white leghorn that fires off eggs relentlessly. However, this bird can be skittish and fragile when facing harsh weather. That's where breed B steps in, a rustic layer with a heavier chassis and a rock-solid temperament, like a Rhode Island Red. We cross the A male with the B female, generating the unrelenting AB female. This AB hybrid female acts as the maternal powerhouse of the entire operation. She inherits the exceptional ovulation rate from line A, backed by the war tank resilience of line B. We aren't looking for her to win beauty contests. We need her strong and producing fertile eggs at a staggering pace. Out in the field, you'll notice these AB females mature fast, have a survival rate of well over 95%, and require far less rigorous housing. They operate like radars for rustic feed, scavenging and utilizing every single ounce of grain and forage with an efficiency that slashes your overhead costs. While the maternal flank solidifies, we build our paternal arsenal in an isolated pen. Here, we cross line C with line D. If the maternal side brings sheer egg volume and hardiness, the paternal side injects massive size, vigor, stamina, and premium shell quality. Line C might be a barred Plymouth Rock, boasting dense bone structure and endless vitality. We cross it with line D, a vigorous New Hampshire that adds early muscular development. This specific pairing generates the CD male, an elite flock sire with a broad chest, legs like tree trunks, and an immune system fully armored against soil-borne pathogens. The CD male serves as the silent watchman and bodyguard of your genetics. Patrolling the yard, he exhibits an imposing attitude and a relentless drive. His sole job is to ensure every single egg from the AB female gets fertilized with superior genetic material. Since he shares absolutely no blood ties with lines A and B, he brings the exact genetic package needed to trigger that massive production explosion. When it comes to management, these heavy-duty males require a maintenance diet packing 16% protein, ensuring continuous fertility even under acute heat stress during the scorching summer months. Now we reach the strategic summit, the terminal cross. We introduce the robust CD males into the pen with the tireless AB females. The fruit of this union is the 4-way ABCD hybrid. Upon hatching, these chicks emerge as cutting-edge biological machinery, possessing 100% of the possible hybrid vigor. By combining 4 distinct lines, we've completely crushed any recessive genetic flaws. These terminal hens will start laying around week 18, hitting peak cycles that surpass 320 premium-grade eggs a year in rustic environments, consuming barely 4 ounces of feed per day. Yet, an astute breeder never settles for just high laying rates. In commercial production, every single ounce of feed consumed by a light-line male is burned cash. This is where we elevate the 4-way cross to a level of technical mastery, introducing sex-linked genes to achieve auto-sexing by color in the final hybrid. Imagine looking at full hatchers and having the power to separate males from females in the very first second of life, without needing an expensive vent-sexing expert. This isn't magic. It's the masterful manipulation of the Z and W chromosomes right on the farm. Let's take the legendary Isa Brown as our blueprint, the absolute gold standard of the sector. To make our ABCD generation color-sexable, the foundational selection focuses heavily on plumage genes, specifically the silver and gold genes. In birds, the male carries 2 Z chromosomes, while the female carries 1 Z and 1 W. The key to this strategy relies entirely on ensuring the AB mother provides a Z chromosome carrying the dominant silver gene, while the CD father provides Z chromosomes carrying the recessive gold gene. It's a perfectly calibrated biological tactic. In actual field practice, executing this demands structuring your lines with unrelenting precision. The maternal grandmothers must carry the silver gene, sourced from breeds like the Rhode Island White or the Light Sussex. On the flip side, the paternal flank, your C and D lines, must be anchored exclusively in gold gene breeds, like the traditional Rhode Island Red. By managing these intermediate crosses, we guarantee the CD male is completely gold, and the AB female carries that crucial silver plumage trait. When we finally pair the CD male with the AB female, biology does all the heavy lifting visually. Hatch Day reveals the massive success of this strategy. All the female chicks, inheriting their single Z chromosome from the gold CD father, will hatch with a distinct copper red down. They'll become your future laying machines. The male chicks, inheriting a dominant silver Z chromosome from the AB mother, will hatch stark white or pale yellow. In a matter of minutes, a single experienced farmer can sort thousands of birds, sending the red females to the laying pens and diverting the white males to other purposes, optimizing every square foot of the facility. It's the ultimate efficiency achieved through rustic genetics. Mastering this 4-way structure in light birds is the first great rite of passage for any serious producer. But the horizon of the field demands more than just egg cartons. When the farm's profitability depends on transforming feed into pure, hard muscle mass in record time, the equation of our genetic cross must be entirely recalibrated. We'll no longer look for sex-linked genes or golden feathers. Instead, we'll chase massive bone profiles and extreme protein assimilation rates. The transition toward developing heavy hybrids for commercial meat production or robust dual-purpose setups requires abandoning the delicacy of the laying lines. We must embrace the sheer brute force of meat strains, where every ounce of grain translates directly into lean muscle and heavy weight on the scale. To construct this massive meat fortress, we initiate the maternal flank by crossing line A with line B. We are no longer chasing the champion of the egg cartons. We are hunting for the matriarch of muscular survival, a heavy-duty biological incubator. Imagine crossing a white Plymouth Rock, a tank of endless endurance, with a secondary heavy breed boasting immense thoracic capacity. The result is the heavy AB female, a silent watchman designed to withstand fierce temperature drops down to 41 degrees Fahrenheit without flinching. Her docile temperament makes handling a breeze in deep litter barns. These unbreakable mothers demand housing with flawless cross-ventilation and a vital space of 3 square feet per bird, guaranteeing their heavy bone structure does not collapse under the stress of overcrowding. On the nutritional front, this AB female requires a controlled rustic regimen to prevent her heavy meat genetics from turning her into an unproductive block of fat. She demands rationed portions packing 15% highly digestible protein, forcing impeccable bone development instead of sheer weight gain. In hard data, this maternal base must guarantee a minimum of 165 premium-grade fertile eggs per cycle, surpassing 2 ounces per unit to ensure vigorous embryos. Out in the field, the critical health risk is clear. Excessive feeding will invariably spark a prolapsed oviduct or a fatal fatty liver hemorrhagic syndrome. The seasoned producer must constantly palpate the keel of these breeding hens. If it feels padded, the diet must be adjusted immediately, because an obese mother is undoubtedly a sterile mother. Over on the paternal flank, we cross lines C and D to engineer the ultimate destroyer of the farm, the heavy CD male. We utilize strains derived from the imposing Cornish breed, genetic gladiators with chests broad as Roman shields and legs thick as support columns. The temperament of this flock sire is territorial, dominant, and driven by an aggressive libido capable of mounting tirelessly. However, his massive muscle mass turns him into a giant vulnerable to acute heat stress. Facility management for these titans demands evaporative cooling pad systems and high-volume exhaust fans, keeping the ambient temperature strictly below 75 degrees Fahrenheit. If environmental heat spikes, this biological armored vehicle will collapse from asphyxiation long before he fertilizes a single egg. His daily feed is the high-octane fuel for a heavy-duty competition engine. He devours dense rustic rations fortified with 16% protein, focused entirely on maintaining the absolute integrity of his ligaments under extreme load. In hard metrics, An elite CD male provides the exact genetic foundation necessary for his offspring to achieve a breast yield exceeding 28% of the total dressed carcass weight. The primary health concern out in the field fundamentally comes down to foot health. The astute breeder must inspect foot pads weekly. The appearance of foot pad dermatitis or severe joint inflammation caused by wet litter is a death sentence. A flock sire suffering from joint pain will stop mounting the breeding hens, instantly paralyzing the production of fertile eggs and completely destroying profitability. By crossing the colossal CD male with the robust AB female, we unleash the heavy terminal hybrid ABCD, a biological black hole designed exclusively to absorb feed and transform it into lean meat at terrifying speed. This elite meat bird embodies an archetype of extreme passivity. Its temperament is intensely docile and lethargic, saving every ingested calorie to aggressively expand its massive skeleton. Climate resistance is minimal. These are fragile glass birds trapped inside the imposing frame of a bodybuilder. Facility management leaves zero margin for error. They require powerful infrared brooders holding exactly 90 degrees Fahrenheit during critical early days. The wood shaving litter must be kept eternally dry as bone dust, paired with timed lighting programs to stimulate explosive cycles of ravenous feeding and rest. In commercial meat bird production, sexing by color is a waste of time and a logistical dead end. Both males and females achieve outstanding body weights, so visually separating by sex adds zero direct economic value. The rustic starter diet kicks off with an astonishing 23% crude protein, pushing the digestive machinery to its absolute biological limit. The hard data in the field is unforgiving. This hybrid powerhouse must tip the scales at 6 pounds in a mere 42 days, achieving a staggering feed conversion ratio of 1.5 pounds of feed per pound of meat. The paramount health risk is sudden death syndrome and severe ascites. If barn ventilation fails even slightly, their massive hearts will literally burst under the intense pressure of a hyper-accelerated metabolism. Once this massive army of ABCD hybrids floods your barn, the practical management of the flock morphs into an operation of maximum precision and iron discipline. We are talking about the archetype of the synchronized squad, where every single individual must behave identically, acting like a flawless clone of the bird next to it. The collective temperament must remain impeccably uniform, moving like a fluid wave toward automated feeders. Facility management demands perfect geometric alignment. Feed pans and pressurized water nipples must be raised millimeter by millimeter weekly to match the exact height of their backs. If cold drafts penetrate the walls, birds will instinctively crowd into corners, shattering the social structure and causing unfair feed competition, severe trampling, and a disastrous mass asphyxiation event. General feeding relies solidly on hard pelleted rations that completely prevent the selective sorting of ingredients, forcing a whole, balanced, and rustic consumption with every peck. To secure the final triumph, the absolute ruling metric is flock uniformity. A dedicated producer corrals a random 5% sample of the flock every week and weighs them individually. The unbreakable target is ensuring at least 85% of the flock does not deviate more than 10% from the calculated average weight. If batch uniformity drops below 75%, a massive red flag goes up immediately. A dangerously uneven flock indicates severe feed competition issues, a lethal outbreak of silent coccidiosis crippling intestinal absorption, or catastrophic failures in your main waterlines dehydrating birds. We arrive at the supreme golden rule that forever separates the professional producer from the amateur backyard keeper. The heavy ABCD terminal hybrid is a strict one-way street. Never, under any circumstances, should you attempt to breed these meat titans together to score a cheap new generation on the homestead. This biological archetype represents an armored genetic lock that self-destructs the moment you try to force it open irresponsibly. If you make the grave mistake of crossing ABCD with ABCD, the resulting offspring will exhibit a chaotic temperament and a completely broken, highly unstable climate resistance. In terms of facility management, housing these degenerated birds is a waste of valuable square footage, as they fail to respond to temperature protocols, behaving like a disorganized mob that weakens instantly. That second F2 generation feeds daily with the exact same destructive voracity, but their productive efficiency is a pipe dream. Due to wild Mendelian segregation, the immensely valuable hybrid Vigor collapses spectacularly right before your eyes. Looking at the real hard data, you will witness a ruinous weight scatter. Some birds might hit 5 pounds, while stunted runts barely reach 2 pounds at the exact same 42-day mark, destroying your feed conversion and skyrocketing operating costs. In derived laying lines, the fall is equally tragic, plummeting below 140 eggs annually. The health warning in this disaster is undeniable: an imminent, generalized metabolic collapse of the entire flock. This F2 offspring suffers from crippling twisted legs, severe crossed beaks, and a lethal vulnerability to respiratory diseases. Mastering the art of the four-way cross is not a mere hobby. It is the definitive transition from a simple animal keeper to a true architect of farm profitability. You have seen firsthand how genetics is not abstract magic, but a tactical arsenal you can deploy in your barns to manufacture biological armored vehicles, whether they are relentless egg machines or massive muscular titans. By respecting Mendelian segregation, isolating recessive factors, and fiercely protecting that hybrid vigor, you acquire absolute control over your production pipeline, crushing operational costs, and completely bulletproofing your homestead against the sheer inefficiency that sinks novices out in the dirt. Let me know down in the comments which of these genetic strategies makes the most sense for your setup. If you got some value out of this tactical breakdown, hit that subscribe button and give the video a thumbs up so we can keep bringing you practical homesteading advice. To your success, fellow breeder. Until next time.